It just does everything so well. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't actually ride it off-road a whole lot. If I'm being honest, I really got this in lieu of a sport tourer because I like the ergos of a dual sport better than I do a sport bike. So that's why I went with this bike, and that's pretty much what I've been doing with it, sport touring. But it just behaves so well on the road. It's fast and peppy. It's quick to turn in, it holds a line. Throttle's nice and smooth. The engine, that sound. The smoothness of the pull. Yeah, like I said, if they make a better bike that does everything this one does, I'm not sure I want to know about it. I know a lot of people really like those new 1200s. I just don't feel like I've wrung enough of my dollar's value out of this one yet to warrant getting one. I may though, I may. So I know I talk about a myriad of things, and I vlog about all sorts of different topics. One of the things I do like to do is I talk a lot about my bike. I think we all do, right? You know, I've grown really attached to this motorcycle, especially since the Yellowstone trip. That was just that was a real bonding moment with this bike, and so I really enjoy it. Why get a Triumph Tiger adventure bike and the most off-roading you do is, you know, down a graded dirt road to get to a campground? Well, yeah, I could kind of answer that, and I have a history of riding dirt bikes and such, but you know, my knees, especially my left hip, bothers me a lot when I have to spend a lot of time bouncing around over hard dirt roads. So I didn't get this bike with the intention of being able to go do Ewan McGregor's, you know, around the world trip or anything like that. In reality, what I wanted was a sport tourer bike. That's really what I had wanted. That's really what I had my mind set on when I set out to look at motorcycles for that purpose. And you know, Captain Rambunctious got one of these, and I immediately tuned into that because they had a road version like I've got, and they had the off-road version. And the road version, you know, because of the softer suspension and such, comes in at about $3 or $4 grand cheaper than the off-road version. So it does have some limitations, you know, with the cast wheels, they're not as strong, and the suspension is the big upgrade when you go to that bike. You get a little bit more travel, but you also have a much more capable tunable suspension on the XC and the XCX version of this bike. But knowing what I was getting it for, I like sport tourer bikes. I would have loved to pick off an FJR 1300. I would have loved to have, I mean, if they'd been selling them, if I'd have known about them at the time, that Honda VFR 1200, the what are they calling it, the Intercontinental or whatever it is, I can't remember what they call it now. But it's a 1200, and it's sort of a sport tourer, has a little bit of a dual sport feature to it. But really, I like the ergos of the dual sport. But I wanted to use a sport tourer. So this bike, perfectly capable of handling big roads like a sport tourer. You're not quite as protected, and it's not quite as fast as, you know, a big heavy sport tourer like an R1200 RT or the FJR 1300. But it's comfortable. It's comfortable as all get out. And with all the tricks and bells and whistles, how well it's supported by the aftermarket, you can get all the accompanying bits and bobs that you need to do what you want to do with it. And so in reality, that's what I do. I'm not the additional thing that I got from this, aside from getting a sport tourer bike, is that now I don't have a fear of riding a mile or 2 or 3 miles on a dirt road to access a remote campground, because this bike's got the clearance for it, and as long as I take it easy, even the street tires I have on here can handle it. And as long as I take it easy, I'm not going to rack out the suspension, even though I'm a pretty big boy. So that's it. That's the real deal. You know, I mean, I'll admit I also like the adventure bike look. It wasn't really something that I was looking for at the time. So once it hit me, it sort of appealed to me, and well, that's where I'm at with it now. The truth of the matter is, if I put some emulators in the front forks and changed up, got some more progressive springs on the front, put on a stiffer bash plate and some decent tires, I could probably do about 80% of what anybody else could do on their XC or XCX. I'm saying probably. Would I? No, I probably wouldn't. So why bother? But I do love this bike, man. It gives me everything I need. It really, really does. I cannot believe I'm almost at the mileage where I've got to take the tank off, balance the throttle bodies, do the valve check. Yeah, that 12,000 mile service is coming up fast. It's only been a year. It's not quite been a year yet. I got this bike, well, no, I guess it has. Well, about the end of this month is when I got this bike. So it was late October last year when I got this bike, and yeah, 12,000 miles already. And I've been splitting my mileage with the other 2 bikes here and there, you know. The Bonneville, when I'm commuting to work, some days I'll take the Bonnie and some days I'll take this. I don't take the Enfield for commuting anymore. She's kind of my weekend rider. Now that it's cooler out again, I'll be riding her some more, although I still need to get the front brake kit on it. But anyway, just a little bit about the bike and why I'm so excited about it, and why I chose to go an adventure tourer bike rather than a sport tourer bike. They make bikes better than this. Honestly, I don't think I want to know.